Hey there, you must have clicked on this video because you got a pretty big wiener. Today, me and you, we're going to have a discussion. We're going to be talking about gaming protagonists, and I'm going to be telling you where I'm going to rank them on my tier list here. I got a pretty solid lineup here, I think. Some characters that you may not have heard about, and then characters that you definitely have heard about. We're going to be starting off this list strong here today. The first protagonist we have here is Kratos. Even if you've never played a God of War game in your life, you know who Kratos is. What's really awesome about Kratos is throughout all of the games, his character development is really interesting. He starts off as this like crazy menace, slaying gods, doing the most badass shit just for pure love of the game. He's that tick in between your butt cheeks that you try to pick off, but you can't really find him, so you're just digging around and you accidentally find a forbidden piece of chocolate. But in the last two games, he's a very loving father, which a lot of you wish you probably had. Personality and character development aside, his actual like physique and like just how he looks, it's just he just screams badass. He takes what he wants, he does what he wants. If he wants to dive into your mom's dirty underwear drawer, he will. All right, and there's nothing you can do. He'll make you watch. He is an absolute menace, and I think he's just got to go straight to S tier. We got to start off crazy strong here, but I just gotta put him in S tier. Not to be too crazy here, but we're about to have a double whammy. Next up is just another straight S tier. I'm gonna get right into it. Batman from the Arkham games is so badass. I feel like Batman in the Arkham games could take down Jesus Christ himself. When you think of DC villains, most of the time, 50% of those are probably gonna be Batman villains. And he took them all down in one night. When it comes to Batman, I've read pretty much all of his big comics. If you list one in the comments, I've probably read it. I've played all of his games, old ones, new ones, everything. The Arkham games are just absolutely insane. The stealth in the missions, the fluidity of the gameplay, fluidity, is that a word? Fluidity, yeah, that's a word. The fluidity of the gameplay, everything about it is just amazing. Now, don't get your hopes up. You've probably seen one of your favorite characters from video games on this list, and I'll tell you, it's not all an easy S tier. It was a coincidence Kratos and Batman are there, but actually, I'm going to change this. I got to make sure Batman is high S tier. I don't think there's going to be anything on this list that can top Batman for my personal favorite video game protagonist. Next up, we got Spyro. Spyro the Dragon to me means more than just the PS2 games and the remastered game that came out. To me, Spyro is one of my first games on the PS3, Skylanders. I absolutely adore that game. And having all these little action figures that I would play with and then throw them on the portal and they'd come to life and I could upgrade them and do all these, crazy things in the game. To me as a kid, it blew my mind. It still does blow my mind. We haven't seen anything like that since then in a long time. The coolest like gadget thing that we've got since then was like probably like VR. You can play games in VR, but to have a physical object, place it on a portal and then see it pop up on your screen was absolutely mind-blowing. So when I think of Spyro, it immediately gets attached to Skylanders, and the Spyro games themselves were absolutely amazing. So I'd probably say I'm gonna put it at high B tier. All right, and now that just puts into perspective how much I like these characters up here, but that doesn't mean that Spyro's not good, all right? I picked these characters for this list because I think that they're genuinely really cool characters or just really popular characters. So next, we're just gonna hop right in. I'm gonna say high A tier for John Marston. John Marston has an insane story. Red Dead Redemption 1, and he's also in Red Dead Redemption 2. Both of those stories are absolutely amazing. I think if I was to really maximize John Marston's story, I would play Red Dead Redemption 2 first, then Red Dead Redemption 1, because it shows how he changes. Red Dead Redemption 2, he's a little crazier. At the end of Red Dead 2, he starts to pull himself together, and at the beginning of Red Dead 1, he's getting there, and he's trying to take down all the old gang members. It's just a really cool story, and I feel like John Marston is just like, he's a good man, Speaking of Arthur, we got him coming up later. We'll definitely get into that. But the next character we have is Raiden from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. I absolutely love this game. It's one of the first games that I played that had the when you run, he would automatically deflect the bullets. Blew my mind. absolutely crazy. I remember I went over to my buddy Joe and David's house, and I showed them this game. They both downloaded it, and it plays similar to like God of War, like the old God of War games. You know how you like the cinematics of it and the beginning where you like, I just, it's crazy. It's a great game. He's a badass character. It's a little over the top with like some of the anime jokes and stuff, or not jokes, but like phrases. You know, it'll be like, you know what's worse than life? Death. You know what's worse than death? Everything. And it's like, what does that even mean, dude? Like, it is a little cheesemo at some times, but the game itself is really good. I'm gonna put this character, I want to put it above John Marston, but I don't know if I can let myself. I'm gonna put it below John Marston by 1. It's crazy that it's even that close, but I don't know. Next up, we got Astro Bot, the main man himself. I just recently made a review on this game. Astro Bot, he's not new because he was in like older games and stuff, and he also had Astro's Playroom, but up until recently, he wasn't really big in my mind. But the games themselves were really good. I really liked the games. The game itself was just so like groovy. I don't know how to explain it. It had its own style. Every level was different. The music was amazing. And it's just this cute little robot guy trying to fix his PS5, all right? And save all of his little buddies. I love Astro Bot so much. It's definitely going to always have a like safe spot in my heart. To me, right now, it's not a nostalgic game per se, so it's not like going to have like any influence with nostalgia rating, which some of these other games will have. But I would still say, to be fair, it's probably B tier because he's so new, like to me. The character himself is probably high B tier, low A tier sort of thing. Knack. Knack is one of the first games I think I've played. I remember being a little kid. I was in probably 3rd or 4th grade. I got a PS4 for Christmas, and first game I played on it was Knack. Whether the game was actually that good or not, I don't remember. I'm going to have to replay it because I was a baby. You know, I could have played with my own piss and shit and been satisfied. So I don't really remember how good this game really is. I don't know if it holds up. I'll have to replay it. But this character actually means a lot to me, which some of you guys may not recognize. But to me, he holds a really safe spot in my heart. I'm going to have to put him above Raiden, in between John Marston. I can't give him S tier. I gotta save S tier for like the highest, craziest shit there is. Next up, Insomniac's Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. These games were really good too. The way he like just swings around and how like smooth it is, how he can transition from swinging to like grabbing onto a wall and running through a building. Like the cinematics of the game, the boss fights weren't too bad. They were definitely not as like crazy as like a God of War boss fight or a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance boss fight to me, but it's everything I'd ever want from a Spider-Man game and more. I think they portrayed him beautifully. I like that you could become Andrew Garfield Spider-Man or the other Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. Those are Spider-Mans I both grew up watching as a little kid, so to me, that absolutely blew my mind, and I really liked it. I really liked that they did that. But this Spider-Man to me isn't even like as close to as powerful as Batman is. Like if this Spider-Man and this Batman were to 1v1, Batman would absolutely tear him to shreds. I know Batman has no powers, but you know, he's got a 20-pound pecker that he could absolutely slam down Spider-Man with. Anyways, I'm going to put him, I got to put him, oh my god, I have to put him above John Marston. I can't say nothing's going to beat John Marston. It's fucking Spider-Man, all right? He's awesome, okay? As cool as John Marston is, Spider-Man is just a little bit cooler, as much as I hate to say it. Absolutely love John Marston, though. Next up, we got Doomslayer. It's just one of the ones. Even though I haven't played a Doom game in probably a year or so, I could still pick it up perfectly fine right now. I would always be in the mood for it. You know what I mean? Like I could always replay it. The game is just so badass. If you were to put him in a room with a bunch of other these characters, he would just stand out. Just his presence alone is fucking insane. I'm pretty sure the only words he says throughout like the whole series is just like, he only says like 3 or 4 words, probably not even that. It just tells you how fucking cool he is, okay? Next up, we got Sonic, the main man himself. I gotta put Sonic at like low A tier, high B, probably under Astro Bot, to be honest. With that logic, I think I like Astro Bot more than I like Sonic. I forgot what I was gonna say. I definitely like Astro Bot more than I like Sonic. I know that's gonna upset a lot of people. Quite frankly, I really don't care. Out of like the big like main like 3 gaming protagonists that you would think of, you know, Mario, Link, and Sonic, I definitely like Sonic the best, which isn't a good look for Mario and Link here. It just shows where they're going to be placed on the tier list. But I'm just saying how cool they are, not how popular they are or anything. Just to me, what they mean to me, how cool they are. Next is Aloy. I think Aloy is insanely underrated, but I don't know if I can put her... I think I'd put her at the very bottom of A tier. I don't think she leaves A tier in any way. But I don't think she's like at the top of A tier by any stretch of the means. I just think she's really underrated. And my dad doesn't play like very many games, isn't like a huge gamer. He has a PS5. He plays his little games after work. And he has hundreds of hours on Forbidden West and like Zero Dawn. He loves this game, and he put me on it actually. And you know, playing the games, I can only think of my father. I can only think of my dad, you know, and what these games mean to him. And I had a great time with the games. She just has a really, really good spot in my heart. And you know, I'm gonna compare her to Lara Croft here. I'm gonna move Lara Croft up here. We're gonna talk about Lara Croft right now. Lara Croft is under Astro Bot and between Sonic. I don't think she's really that crazy. If you were to directly compare Lara Croft and Aloy, I feel like Aloy would absolutely rip her to shreds. She's training as like this like badass assassin with bows and shit since she was a little kid. You know, she's always like she's the chosen one, dude. I don't know. She's definitely better than Lara Croft in every way. Next up, Little Big Planet. Gotta be an S tier. It absolutely breaks my heart that Astro Bot has came out and completely overshadowed Little Big Planet, because this game to me is everything. I remember for the most part playing games with my sister growing up. She would only really play like The Sims and like games that I wouldn't really want to play. You know, I'd be playing like Lego Star Wars and, you know, superhero stuff, Ultimate Alliance. I think that's the name of the game. Like just completely different games than she would play. But we both came together and we would play Little Big Planet together. And so it just shows how great of a game it really was, you know? I'd wake up early to play the game as a little kid. I remember, you know, waking my sister out of bed like it was Christmas and I'm like, come on, let's Little Big Planet, let's Little Big Planet. It's a great game. Next up, Cuphead. He's the only thing that might have beat Batman, and he didn't. This one is probably the most shocking to you guys, but Cuphead is just my favorite game of all time. No ifs, ands, or buts. It beats every Batman game, every God of War game, every single game I've ever played. It beats it. Cuphead is the greatest game of all time, in my opinion. I love everything about it. I think the art style is amazing. I like the story. I like the animations, how they were hand-drawn. It blows my mind. The music, I remember pulling up to my job. I used to work at an ice cream shop. I'd pull up and, you know, I'd drive my buddy home after work, and we hopped in the car and it said like recently played, and it was the Cuphead music. He's like, man, you been listening to Cuphead? I was like, yeah, I've been listening to Cuphead. And then I drove him home that night. It was like, and I drove him home. It was awesome. Cuphead is absolutely S tier, no doubt about it. Next up, Arthur fucking Morgan. He beats Cuphead, all right? When it comes to the actual character itself, I know I just glazed Cuphead. It might be hard to, you know, hear me with his meat shoved so far down my throat, but Arthur Morgan, when it comes to actual like characterization, S tier, all right? Just S tier. My girlfriend watched me playing like through the game, you know, and just like walking by, seeing me play it, but she didn't know anything about the game, but she still wanted to see the ending because that's how like easily attached to the characters you can get. And if Kyra wasn't sitting right next to me when I was playing the ending of the game, I would have cried like a baby. It is the only game that has genuinely almost made me cry at the end of it. because of how like it just like hits me, dude. And you know how it's gonna end before it ends. You know what I mean? Like you know it's coming, and especially with all the spoilers online, you know what's gonna happen. But still, it absolutely stabs you in the heart, and I still am recovering from it every day. Next up is Cult of the Lamb. I'm gonna give Cult of the Lamb C tier. I'm gonna give him C tier. I think he's going to be high C tier. I just feel like we don't really know enough about him. I don't know why he was getting executed to begin with, you know, and that's how the whole story starts. You're about to get executed and you get saved by this like huge demon guy, and you devote your second chance at life to free him and, you know, and start a cult and everything. But it's what led up to that. Like, I wasn't really attached to him. I was more attached to my followers or like villagers that, you know, I was getting to meet and stuff and making a cult and upgrading my base. I just wasn't really ever attached to the lamb himself. But speaking of upgrading and building, the man you've probably waited for this entire time, just looking at these characters that are upcoming, is Minecraft Steve. I'm going to put him above Spider-Man because it's Minecraft Steve. I just don't think he's S tier. Yes, Minecraft as a game is probably better than Little Big Planet. I don't think Steve as a character is more impactful and more meaningful to me than Sackboy from Little Big Planet. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he's high A tier. John Marston to me is like amazing. Okay, I love John Marston. So the fact that even Spider-Man got ahead of him is absolutely fucking crazy. So Steve being high A tier is not disrespectful by any stretch of the means here. Next we have Kestis. I really liked these games. I think I'm actually going to put him above Lara Croft because I don't think he's better than Astro Bot, but I don't think he's worse than Lara Croft. I don't think anyone in this tier actually is worse than Lara Croft. I'm going to put her at the bottom of B tier. And while I'm at it, I'm going to move Spyro up above Sonic. I really like the story with The Last Jedi and stuff. I really like the games. I really like the animations. I really liked everything about it. I have no real complaints about the game. And just him as a character isn't anything insane. And it's just not anything awful. He's just dead in the middle, you know? I have nothing wrong with him. I think he's a great character, but yeah, he's awesome. B tier. Master Chief. He's going just under John Marston. Everyone just fucking turned off the video. If you're still here, you're definitely on your way out. I know a large percent of you right now probably are struggling to see me because your screen is filled with cracks because you fucking... I'm sorry, I know, I'm aware he should be higher, but on my list, he's just under John Marston. I have a lot of great memories with this game. He is a very meaningful character to me, but I just can't see him in S tier for me. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I think, for example, Kratos, Doom Guy, I would always as a kid mix up Doom Guy and Master Chief. Loki thought they were the same guy until I hit age 10, but anyways, I think Doom Guy is infinitely cooler than Master Chief. I'm sorry. Next up, we have Zagreus. I'm going to put Zagreus at high C tier. I'm going to put him above the Lamb. The game itself, absolutely fire. Gas. I love the game. Zagreus, though, I think Zagreus was cool. I just don't know that I could really relate to him all that much. You know what I mean? I was rooting for him. I was rooting for him in his relationship with his mom. And I really do like the character itself. It's just... compared to some of these other names and some of these other characters that I've played in games, he just doesn't even like sniff the asshole of them. I say he's high C tier. Next up is Mario. This one is definitely going to have some angry comments down below. I'm putting him at the bottom of C tier. I'm sorry. I've played my fair share of Mario games. To me, the character itself, like, you compare him to fucking Arkham Batman, you're telling me that even comes close? I don't care if that's the game you played when you were in diapers, pee-pee and pooping in your pants. Just, to me, it's not that crazy of a character compared to, you know, other characters on here. And although I've been talking about the games with the characters, it is a tier list on the character themselves. And when it comes to Mario, he doesn't even come close to some of these other characters. Last one we have here for you today is Link. I put him in D tier. I've never really been connected to the Zelda games. I haven't, like, really been invested in them. My girlfriend's huge into it. She loves the games. She is absolutely going to beat me if she sees this video. She's going to be very upset with me. I'm sure you guys are too, but this is my tier list of video game protagonists that I personally like the best from the worst. Tell me why you guys disagree with me in the comments, because I know you do. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't nod your head and agree with me, because I know this shit is wrong as fuck. This shit is so wrong. So tell me which ones you disagree with in the comments. Tell me why. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.